This is the guidance film then for the Year 9 baseline test, where I am going to give you guidance and advice on how you can IaCT and improve your work. You won't be getting the answers here, you'll be getting the prompts that you couldn't get in the exam to see if that will help you engage with the assessment and correct some of the errors that were made. So section A, the knowledge recall. This is the knowledge content that you were taught last year, that you hopefully would have learnt. If you've made any mistakes, what you can now do is, using the questions and in your own time, do your research. Can I prompt you to look at your knowledge organizer, reflect through your exercise book before you take any shortcuts and go to the internet or ask people? Can you please make sure you correct in a different colour pen? The second part then, looking at skills as opposed to knowledge. The first one you've got here is an inference question, and this is based upon the execution of Charles I. There's 4 marks available for this. And in your GCSE, should you choose to do it, this question will take you 5 minutes. You need to complete the what can I infer and the details in the source that tell me this. You need to do that twice, and hopefully you'll be able to do that in 5 minutes. First things first then, an inference is an educated guess or an assumption. Your inference, the first part here, cannot be something that you can see in the picture. That would be comprehension. This is inference. This is one step higher. This is where you have to think. One way in which you can do this is to think about things that are not shown in the picture. So for example, emotions, the tone of the piece. What can you infer from looking at this and thinking about this? Tell me. And then in the second part, the details in the source that tell you this, you can then tell me what you see. But your inference cannot be what you see. That only comes in the second part. The details, because it's a picture source, will always have to be a description. Obviously, if this was text, the details would be a quote. Page, you'll see the second part of that question. Okay, next part, question 2. Source for you to read. Read the source. You need to tell me what the source is. Is it a book? Is it a photograph? Is it a piece of film? What is it? Nice and simple. Don't overcomplicate that one. Number 2, the origin. When and from where or who produced the source? The origin. Where does it come from? Thirdly, P, purpose. Why do you think the source was created? It's a why question. It's meant to be harder. NOP, NOP. What is the NOP of the source? Its nature, its origin, and its purpose. Finally, the extension question. How does the nature, origin, and purpose of the source possibly affect the content of the source? Because it was written by someone at a certain time for a certain purpose, how might that affect what is in the source? Tell me what you think, provide a reason. Question 3. Read an interpretation. Read a second interpretation. Interpretations are always written by people, historians, after the event has taken place. Interpretation 1, interpretation 2. Your job to read the source, understand what it's saying, describe the differences between the 2 interpretations, summarize what interpretation 1 is saying, summarize what interpretation 2 is saying. Interpretation 1 says about the causes of the English Civil War. Interpretation 2 says blank about the causes of the English Civil War. What is the main difference between the 2? The main difference is. Tell me what the difference is and back it up with a quote from both sources. Question 4, the feature question. Read the source. I want to know one feature of new industrial towns. Second part is the second feature of new industrial towns. A feature is a part of whatever it is. Your nose is a feature of your face, so your eyes and your ears. A desk is a feature of a classroom. A keyboard is a feature of a computer. A torch is a feature of a mobile phone. One feature of the industrial towns was, back it up with a quote, a second feature of industrial towns was. Question 5. PEA, Point, Evidence, Analysis. You've been studying this since year 7. How to construct a paragraph with those 3 parts. The point is the topic or the theme of your paragraph. Your evidence is what you back it up with. Finally, your analysis is how you use the evidence to answer the question. You go through these boxes, you identify which is P, which is E, and which is A. When you've identified the P, E, and A, you can then to write your own PEA paragraph. Did Emily Davison intend to die at the Epsom Derby? I don't matter whether you agree with it or disagree with it. What I want to see is if you can construct your own paragraph. You may use the evidence on the previous page, or you can write it in your own style. I would like you to label where you think the P is, the E is, and where the A is. Question number 6. Understanding the usefulness of a source. How useful is source A in understanding what it was like to fight in the trenches of World War I? Here's your source. Work your way through the source and the series of questions that are here. Write a quote from the source that helps answer the question. Infer what it means, an educated guess or assumption. Link the quote or inference to your own knowledge. Then tell me one limitation of the source. Why is the source not perfect? Finally, reference the nature, origin and purpose to explain whether it helps you answer the question. Almost certainly this last question is the hardest. Break it down bit by bit and attempt each of the questions.